All right, Adam, midweek for the Buffs as they get prepared to play BYU this week. And, we're in Utah State stuff because my daughter is a student there. And, Jason Phillips used to coach there. He actually pointed out, he's like, go Aggies. But it's a good thing I'm not supporting my son's school. He's a freshman at BYU. This would not be the week to do that around here.
Well, you've already gotten enough flack from people around here
Yeah.
for the Utah State, and I'm sure there's going to be a few more in the comments here. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to pile on.
I appreciate it. And look, the Buffs never play Utah State, so it's okay. But it was receiver day today for the Buffs. We got Jason Phillips as well as Amarion Miller, Joseph Williams, and that group, finally had, I guess, a breakout game this last week. And those two guys as well as Sincere Brown all had big catches for the Buffs, and we've been kind of waiting for that group to bust loose.
Yeah, and that happened while they rotated, was it 9 guys through there?
Yeah.
And early in the game, it was like every play there was a new wave of receivers coming in there. So you've really created a lot of competition within that group, and you get a guy like Terrell Timmons back, and that's just kind of just gravy, just to have even more depth, because there are guys that are going to get banged up at times this year, and they're going to be able to withstand that. But just with Omarion Miller in general, it's great to see him making plays, because we've seen the potential since the second he stepped foot on campus here. And really it's been the fact that he's had some veteran guys ahead of him, and injuries has really been the only thing that's kept him from being more of a household name in this conference. And I think if he can stay healthy, that's always the key with him. He's going to put up some big numbers here these next 8 weeks.
And he's made some really nice plays too. I mean, that catch in the back of the end zone, it was a great throw by Kaden Salter. It was a nice catch by him to get the foot in there. And then the one where he didn't get in the end zone the second time, but made a nice catch to some extra yards right in front of the goal line. So he did a great job. Joseph Williams, 2 weeks in a row with a touchdown. He's really come on. He said he's getting a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, he came in, still pretty raw at the receiver position. And even Sincere Brown, who's a senior, was mentioned by Jason Phillips today as being somebody that's raw, especially in the sense of playing for a program that's on the radar nationally the way that Colorado is. And so, I think now they're just waiting on Draylon Miller, right?
Yeah.
And Jason Phillips said today, kind of hinted that, they've got some stuff in the works this week. So we talked about that yesterday.
Yes.
Might be in the backfield, but we'll see what that role is going to be. He's the guy they need to get going.
Yeah. That was one yesterday. I asked Coach Prime about it, and he was very like, we got some things. So I'm anticipating it, but, we'll see. Draylon is such a good kid, and, such a nice kid that you hope he can get going, because, he's kind of that one big-name receiver in that group that hasn't really gotten going yet, and Sincere has obviously done his thing. The other big thing that all of them talked about was Kaden Salter this week, and just they saw a different Kaden Salter. And I guess as time goes along, we're hearing more about why Kaden Salter got benched. It was pretty clear that basically he wasn't Shedeur Sanders, right? He wasn't living up to the Shedeur Sanders standard of leadership and things like that. And Jason Phillips mentioned, look, it's almost like the coach replacing Nick Saban in Alabama. It's like, you better win a national title else you're not any good. And it's a tough act to follow, Jason Phillips said, with coming in after Shedeur Sanders. There's a lot put on Kaden Salter.
Yeah, and it goes back to the point that quarterback, just like point guard in basketball, is a position you have to be vocal if you're going to be successful. It just doesn't work otherwise. And so, we know that that's really not necessarily Kaden Salter's strength. And it doesn't come all that natural to him. But to maximize this opportunity, his senior year here, there's enough talent on this team for them to improve and have a pretty special season. But they need Kaden Salter to be the guy leading that. But I did like the fact that Coach Phillips pointed out that, these were tough shoes to fill. We knew that. And it's like you said, it's been very clear by the comments made by Coach Prime and some of the other coaches and players that was the only thing keeping him from that starting job early this season when they were rotating different quarterbacks through there.
Yeah, and I would sense too that part of it is they saw so much potential in Kaden Salter, but it's like, do this other part and you'll be even better. I that's the sense I get. And Joseph Williams, Amarion Miller talked about seeing a different Kaden this last week, the last week and a half or so, just more vocal and more of a leader, and that's really helped solidify probably the offense and the team.
And even beyond the leadership, we heard Coach Prime say that a big part of Kaden Salter's performance on Saturday was his decisiveness.
Yes.
Something they felt that he was being a little too hesitant in terms of making decisions with live bolts flying out there. And he rewatching that game, I mean, it was even better performance, I feel like, on the rewatch than it was watching it live on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's funny because I was one that I was a proponent of keep Kaden Salter in the starting lineup even for Houston, but because I Georgia Tech, whatever, it's like, yeah, he's played fine, but he was fun to watch on Saturday. Like he made plays where you're like, wow, okay, that's a play that not a lot of guys are going to make because he made that play in his own style.
Yeah, and I think that's part of where some of that early season frustration with Pat Shurmur was too, is that it just was disjointed. Yeah. And it's sometimes hard to explain, and it's not always about stats. It's sometimes more of like an eyeball aesthetics thing.
Yeah.
And that's why, what they did Saturday, it's not, I mean, it was, they scored 37 points, but it was more about just the manner in which they seemed to always kind of be within the system and making plays when they were available, whereas it just you didn't feel comfortable in the consistency of the offense through the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, and Coach Prime mentioned a couple weeks ago he wants his quarterbacks. He goes, they need to make 3 plays, at least 3 plays a game, like on their own, basically off script plays. Kaden Salter did that, and it was fun to see him go off script a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially the one to Sincere Brown, which you see the difference because there was a scramble earlier in the season where they weren't on the same page.
Yeah.
So you're starting to kind of see that chemistry come together.
Yeah. Last thing before we get out of here, we're going to have a game preview later on this week, but recruiting-wise, the Buffs have had 2 commitments in the last couple of days.
Yeah, Emmanuel Ruffin, a 4-star defensive line recruit out of Alabama. Big-time offers. I mean, he took visits to Alabama, LSU, Ohio State. Yeah. I mean, this is a legit guy, a top 20 nationally in terms of a defensive lineman. He's listed around 290. He'll probably come in around 295, 300, and he's an extremely athletic guy. A lot of times you don't see defensive linemen at the prep level putting up huge stats, but he had over 100 tackles as an interior defensive lineman, and they kind of move him around a little bit. That's really what you look for now in defensive linemen, is that versatility, that athleticism for the size, and he looks like a really good get, over 30 FBS offers. And they got a commitment from a 3-star Florida receiver, Christian Ward, as well. He's originally from Georgia. He and his younger brother, who's currently verbally committed to Alabama in the 2027 class, knew Julian Lewis. They're in Georgia before they went over to IMG Academy. This is if you include Cash Cleveland, this is now the 5th IMG guy they've gotten in the last 3 years. So and those guys have all come in here and worked out well. So he's about 6'3", about 195, 200 pounds, big receiver. You watch his film from last year before he got to IMG, and it's really impressive. He's kind of got that long stride to where it doesn't look like he's putting any effort into it, that he's even really running that fast, and yet he just continually gets behind the defense and had some nice 50 catches in there as well. So looks like a really nice receiver, not a blue chipper, but a top 100 Florida recruit now that he's at IMG Academy. So now they're at 13 commitments. Florida's the only state where they have multiple guys committed from. They've continued to recruit pretty much nationally, and so 13 guys at this point, and they're continuing to recruit a lot of guys. This is going to be the biggest prep class for Colorado under Coach Prime. Yeah,
it's awesome to see, and we see with this year's team and the last couple true freshmen play here, and so there's some talent coming in that true freshman class. Adam and I will be back later on this week to preview the game against BYU.